Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron. It is the morning after, the night before, the instant match reaction. Chelsea 2, Everton 2 at Stamford Bridge last night. Everton coming from behind twice to pick up a really important point away from home at a ground that we notoriously don't do great at. Now, that being said, we have only lost there 3 times in the last 11 years, I believe. So maybe we've got a better record there than I actually first believed. However, we all knew that it was going to be an extremely difficult game of football yesterday. We all knew that this one was going to be a difficult task for Sean Dyche to try and get over. And in a way, he did exactly that. Listen, I don't think many Blues were expecting us to go there and win yesterday. Not only because it's Chelsea and we haven't won there since 1994, but generally just because we haven't got an unbelievable away record, and we know this, and we don't need to go over this and talk about this anymore than that, because we all know that is the case. But if you'd have said to myself, and I assume the majority of Evertonians before this game, that we'd come away with a point, I think we'd all generally be pretty happy about that, and especially a point in the circumstance of going behind in the game on a couple of occasions and picking ourselves back up and, dusting ourselves down and not letting our heads drop and not, sort of sulking and moaning and whining and just getting up and going again. And look, that's exactly what happened. It would have been very easy for these players to have dropped their heads after conceding a 82nd minute penalty or whatever it was. I'm actually going to get the exact timing now because it does me head in. 76 minute penalty. It would have been very easy for the last 15 minutes for us to, lose our heads, drop our heads, and Chelsea to maybe go on and get a third and a fourth and completely kill the game up. But we didn't. We kept our structure. We kept to the game plan. We kept to the the plan that Sean Dyche had put out. We defended well, we were strong, and we brought on a lad who ultimately has had a point to prove. And we've all been sat here for the last 2, 3, 4 months talking about Everton's massive lack of any real quality or any real ability in the forward areas, and who is going to be the saviour, who is going to be the hero this season, who is going to pop up with the goals when we need them to. And look, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, and I don't want to get too excited about that Elliot Sims goal, but it was one that, for me, could be a real sort of, turning factor in our season. And I'm not saying it will be, and I'm not saying that for a definite, and I'm not saying that, Elliot Sims is now going to go on and score in every game, because obviously that would be silly, but that goal will give him the absolute world of confidence. It will give him a million times more belief than what he had before the game, in terms of his own ability, in terms of his ability to come on and make an impact. Ultimately he's come on there with 20 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, at Stamford Bridge, away from home, a goal down, and he's gone and earned Everton a really important point. And not only that, I've just said this on Twitter and I'll repeat it here. If you actually watch the goal again, it's really impressive. It's not a back post tap-in. It's not a ball falls him in the 6-yard box and it's a bad bit of defending by Chelsea. It's not a fluky deflected goal and we're all sitting here going, oh, he was in the right place at the right time. It's actually a goal that I haven't witnessed an Everton striker score in a long time. It reminded me somewhat of Romelu Lukaku's goal against Chelsea at Goodison Park in the quarter-final of the FA Cup a number of years ago. And again, I'm not getting too ahead of myself and comparing Elliot Sims to Romelu Lukaku, but what I'm saying is, if you watch the goal back again, you can tell the minute Elliot Sims picks up that ball, that knock-on from Abdoulaye Doucouré is absolutely brilliant, by the way. I thought Abdoulaye Doucouré was fantastic again yesterday. Another goal, another assist. It's a really clever knock-on. But if you actually watch the goal again, Elliot Sims knows what he wants to do instantly. There's no doubt in his mind, even though he's 5 yards out of the box, even though he's got, a £70 million defender to beat, and then he's still got to drive in the box and turn it onto his right and get the shot away. Even though he's got all of that to do, he knows exactly what he wants to do as soon as he picks up that ball. There's no doubt. There's no, right, I'm just going to drive in the box and see what happens. There's none of that. You can literally tell as soon as he picks that ball up that his thought is, I'm scoring here. I'm knocking it past him. I'm getting in the area and I'm having a shot. And again, whilst I don't want to get too ahead of myself, and whilst I don't want to get too excited, and whilst I don't want to sit here and say, oh my God, we're going to be brilliant now, start Elliot Sims every week, because he still is raw, he still is young, he still has a lot to learn, he still has got, a long way to go before he is ultimately an established, consistent Premier League goal scorer. But that goal yesterday showed that he's got the ability, and that goal yesterday showed that he's got the strikers, the strikers sort of poacher mentality. That sort of mentality that you can't teach, you can't sort of learn, you can't sort of, you can't teach a footballer how to have that goal scoring, mentality in your brain. And that's what Elliot Sims has got. And he showed it yesterday. The second he picked up that ball, you knew that the only thing on his mind was, I'm scoring. The only thing on his mind was, I'm driving this ball into the box and I'm putting it in the back of the net. And that isn't something that can be taught. And as I said, whilst he might be raw and whilst he might still have a lot of work to do and a lot of sort of fine-tuning to do, he's got what ultimately I don't think any of the other forwards at this football club have got, or certainly not at that level. Now, maybe you could argue with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but as we done the video on Friday, I'm not really willing to entertain the Dominic Calvert-Lewin conversation at the moment, because we don't know when he's going to be back. We don't know if he's going to be back, and even when he is back, we don't know whether he's going to have an impact. So, out of the other strikers of the football club or forwards of the football club, whilst individually they have parts of their game that maybe Ellis doesn't, I don't think any of them have got that that striker's instinct like Elliot Sims showed yesterday. And as I said, I implore anybody who hasn't watched the goal back, and I'm sure we've all watched it back a million times, but just go and watch his first touch. As soon as he touches that ball, you can see he's thinking, I'm scoring. He knocks it past, one of the most expensive defenders in the history of football with ease, leaves him absolutely on his own, leaves him going for I was going to say a burger then in the stands, but it's not a burger at Chelsea, is it? He's probably gone for a 15-fish paella with 3 times cooked salmon, king prawns, and a side of your finest Chardonnay to go with it. So anyway, he sent him for a posh first class, Tory meal as you would get at Stamford Bridge. And he's gotten into the area, he switched it onto his right foot, he's had a shot, and he's made sure that his shot is powerful enough to make sure that the goalkeeper cannot do anything about it other than get, a hand on it, and it's still going to end up going underneath him. And that's exactly what happened. And I've seen a couple of people, I think the commentators tried to sort of blag the whole, oh my God, it's a bad goalkeeping mistake, the keeper should do better. It's bollocks. It's absolute bollocks, because I've watched some of the best strikers in world football score goals like that, and they're brilliant goals. Nothing to do with the goalkeeper. He hit it hard enough and well enough for the goalkeeper to not be able to do anything about it other than, it effectively just hit him on the way in. And that is something I think that Sean Dyche has to tap into now in the coming weeks and months before the end of the season, is that goal scoring instinct that Elliot Sims very, very, very clearly has at his disposal. And look, does he deserve his opportunity? Well, if you bring if you're a young forward, a 22, 23-year-old forward, and you come on with 20 minutes to go at Stamford Bridge and your team are a goal down and in a relegation battle, especially with how the results went for Everton on yesterday afternoon. I mean, we were the R5 kickoff. Leeds have gone and won convincingly. Southampton have managed to scrape a point at Tottenham. Other results have gone against us as well. So we really, really needed to get something out of that game. We really, really did. And you've brought the young lad on with 10 minutes to go, effectively with the instruction of go and get something out of this game for us. And he's gone and produced that. I don't think there's many more. I don't think there's much more he could do to deserve an opportunity, a run in this team, a run of games to at least try and show, his ability and ultimately to try and fine tune those little bits of his game that maybe need a little bit of working on. But I can't praise him enough. I can't praise him enough just for having A, that striker's instinct, but B, the bollocks to pick that ball up on the edge of the box and think, you know what, I don't give a fuck if you cost 60 million quid, I'm going to send you for a prawn sandwich, I'm going to send you on your ass, and I'm putting this ball in the back of the net. It was absolutely fantastic. I mean, Wunderlich says Sims is a super sub is sound. I think he's got to be beyond that now. I don't think you can have... and again, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying start him every week. He's got to be, he's the striker now because he scored the goal. What I'm saying is he deserves a run in this team. Now, we haven't got a striker that can produce that can, that you can then argue Sims can be the super sub. Sims can be the one that comes on with 15 minutes to go, because we haven't got somebody to play the first 75 minutes that can produce what Elliot Sims produced yesterday, if you get me. So for me, he deserves a run in the team. He deserves a go. He deserves to be able to showcase that he can do that maybe on a more consistent basis. But it was an absolutely fantastic goal. And it wasn't just all about Elliot Sims yesterday. Look, he gets the plaudits and he's got the limelight and he's got the conversation around him because, it's his first Everton goal. He's an academy graduate. It's at Stamford Bridge. A little bit similar to, Jared Brandthwaite's goal there last season, which earned us a point. But it's about the whole team. It's about the unit. It's about the fact that we did go, down twice away from home at a ground that, notoriously we haven't got a great record at in terms of winning. And we come back, and we managed to pick ourselves back up and go again. It wasn't a case of, we've conceded a 76-minute penalty and the game's pretty much over now, so we'll drop our heads and we'll feel sorry for ourselves. It was a case of, no, there's still plenty of time to get something out of this game, so we're going to go and get something out of this game. And that is exactly what we did, and that for me is down to the manager. That mentality, that sort of mindset, that grit, that determination, that sort of don't give up and keep your head up and go again mentality is ultimately down to Sean Dyche and Sean Dyche's philosophy and Sean Dyche's way of playing. And look, Sean Dyche took a risk yesterday. The last couple of games we've seen him bring Neil Maupay on and he hasn't really offered us much. He did it against Forest when we needed to go and get a winner and we didn't get it. He did it against Brentford and okay, we already, we were winning that game, but he didn't really offer much. He took a risk yesterday, Sean Dyche, by bringing on a young lad in a big game with a point to prove, like he did in the Merseyside derby. And listen, I don't think any of us can sit here and judge Elliot Sims on the Merseyside derby because A, everybody was woeful, and B, it was a Merseyside derby at Anfield. But he come on yesterday with a point to prove and he proved it. And Sean Dyche does have to be given credit for that. In the same way Sean Dyche has to be given credit for Abdoulaye Doucouré's form in recent weeks. That's another goal and an assist for Abdoulaye Doucouré yesterday. I think he got an assist against Brentford and I think he got a goal against Nottingham Forest as well. He did. So that's 4 goal involvements in his last 3 games for Abdoulaye Doucouré, for a player that couldn't get in the team prior to Sean Dyche coming into the football club. Michael Keane's resurgence. I thought Michael Keane was faultless yesterday. Absolutely faultless. Now, don't get me wrong, could he maybe have done a little bit more for the first goal? Yeah, it's a good finish. Should he have been sacked down a little bit? Absolutely. But the penalty was nothing to do with him. That was, Ben Godfrey and James Tarkowski running into each other and putting the fella on his arse. Whether we can sit here all day and argue whether or not Michael Keane should be in this team, but his form has improved a lot recently, down to the manager and the manager's faith and the manager's belief. Dwight McNeil. I mean, Dwight McNeil has been absolutely phenomenal since Sean Dyche has come into the football club. A little bit quiet yesterday. Didn't have his best of games yesterday, but generally in recent weeks he's been very, very good. James Tarkowski, very, very good in recent weeks. So there's players there that previous to Sean Dyche coming in, you wouldn't have had anywhere near an Everton starting 11, never mind, in the team, but just not playing well. You wouldn't have had them anywhere near the starting 11 that have come in and that have made an impact and that are working harder and playing better and producing more and battling more and not giving up and picking their heads up when we go down. And the goals we conceded yesterday were disappointing. The first one is a good finish, but it's disappointing that he was allowed that much time and space around the edge of the box. The penalty is massively disappointing because at that point you're thinking we could lose this game on what is a stupid, avoidable mistake. And I said it when we conceded, we are our own worst enemy. We are conceding goals through our own mistakes. And this is a problem that Everton have had all season, is that the goals we concede, you very, very rarely see Everton concede a goal where you sit there and you go, do you know what, that's just an unbelievable finish. That's a great finish. Most of the time you're sitting here going, that's an avoidable mistake. Again, yesterday, the penalty, an avoidable mistake. But we didn't drop our heads. We didn't cry. We didn't, we didn't feel sorry for ourselves. We picked ourselves up and we went again and, we attacked and We got what we deserved, and we absolutely did deserve a point yesterday, by the way, because, don't get me wrong, okay, Chelsea had the more possession and Chelsea were the more threatening team and this, that and the other, but Everton were really, really, really solid. And do you know what? That's 3 points. 3 games on the bounce that Everton haven't been beaten now. A draw against Forest, which we were all disappointed with. That should have been a win, really. A win against Brentford, which obviously was great, and then a draw against Chelsea. We've got Tottenham at home not next weekend, the weekend after, because of the international break. Realistically speaking, I'd fancy Everton to beat Tottenham at home. Then that would make it 4 unbeaten, and all of a sudden we're looking a lot better. And these are the types of games that you've got to pick up points. Everton didn't really have a choice yesterday but to pick up points because of how the other games around us went. Southampton picking up a point, Leeds absolutely blathering Wolves, Nottingham Forest were very close to picking up something on Friday night. Everton needed to keep up that, to keep up with those teams in and around us. We couldn't afford to have been dropped behind again. And I think the manager knew that, and the players knew that, and that's why there wasn't a, oh my God, we've conceded a second goal, let's just fucking shut up shop and go home. It was a, well, no, we're getting something out of this game, and we'll battle until we do. Yeah, I thought, as I said, although there were a couple of players that were a little bit sort of iffy yesterday. I don't think Alex Iwobi was very good whatsoever. I think he was poor. I think it was his worst game for a while. I also don't think Damari Gray was very effective yesterday. But on the flip side, I thought Decore was very good. He was getting about. He was winning the ball back. I thought the centre-halves, other than the moments of madness for the penalty, I thought generally we defended quite well. I thought we battled quite well. I thought Mikalenko come on, he done quite well. So, yeah, listen, it's a massively important point, and as I said, Elliot Sims will get the plaudits, and rightly so, because of that moment for him, and he absolutely deserves that moment. But this performance was very, very, very evident for me, and sitting back and looking at it again and watching the highlights, it's very, very evident that Sean Dyche knows what he's doing, and Sean Dyche is capable of going to difficult games and riling these players up to go and get something, and motivating these players to be able to go out and get something. And that was on display yesterday. And says celebration police out in full swing. I've said this before, mate, and I'll say it again. I've said it on this channel numerous times. If you are somebody that sits at home on your phone, on social media, on Twitter or Facebook or whatever else, and as a go at football fans for celebrating any goal, whether it be a 90th minute equaliser, whether it be a 97th minute winner against a shit team, whether it be a 97th minute winner in a Champions League final against an unbelievable team, whatever it may be, if you criticise any fan for celebrating their team scoring a goal in any circumstance, then you're a bad knobhead. A bad knobhead. And these, you only see the people doing this, you only see, I can't even speak, sorry. The only people you see doing this are people that don't understand football. They don't know what it's like to go to a game of football. They don't know what it's like to witness their team score a last minute winner or a last minute equaliser. I can tell you now, if I was in that away stand yesterday, which I'm fucking gutted I wasn't, if I was in that away stand yesterday, I wouldn't be able to speak today. And I don't care whether it was only a draw and you're celebrating a point. I'm not arsed. I'm celebrating a young kid coming on off the bench and scoring in the 89th minute to get Everton a really important point in a relegation battle. And if you don't think that's good enough to celebrate, then you're a bad weapon, and you haven't got a clue about footy. Go and support. Go and watch cricket or something. You haven't got a clue about footy. But yeah, look, a really important point. A fantastic display of grit and determination, and that comes from the manager, and I think the manager deserves a lot of credit for that. And obviously fantastic to see Elliot Sims open his Everton account with a really, really good goal. Not a tap-in, not a lucky bounce, a really, really potent striker's finish. And, he showed that he's got that instinct, and that needs to be tapped into more for me. Anyway, there you go. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like. We'll be back with the play ratings in just a second, so look out for those. Big thanks to everybody for watching live. I really appreciate it. If you're watching the YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below. But big thanks for watching. Up the toffees. Elliot Sims on my mind, and he's Everton's number 9. Nice one. See you after.